Right, here we go. All right, welcome back to Aligning with Success. I'm your co-host, Mike DiMuccio with Dave Rolfe, and it is week 33 of our 52 weeks this year, 2025. This year started off with a lot of hope and expectation with respect to goals. We decided that we would write a check to ourselves in the amount that we wanted to receive from our business on December 15, 2025. And as we've talked about in the compensation plan, understanding how to develop the income stream and so forth, you don't expect it's not linear, and it's not linear this way. It's usually a curve. So even if you don't see yourself at the halfway mark or thereabouts, don't fret because an exponential growth curve usually doesn't look that way. It usually doesn't have that bend in the knee until later in the year. So we're coming into the fall. This is when you should start to experience the bend in the knee if you've been doing your business with consistency and intention and starting to develop some partners. And of course, that is the key. The key to any type of exponential activity in your business is partnering with people. So, um, just a quick recap. Last week, we talked about the formula, the recipe for success, and the fact that we should all agree to or have a getting started procedure. Did anyone happen to find a PDF of any kind with respect to a getting started checklist from the We Academy?
No.
No. And I didn't hear from Jeff, so I'm going to send him a note right now because it's fresh on my mind. I had nothing but wedding on my mind the last 5 days, and what a wedding. Whoa. And check out some of our social media. You'll see it's
Pictures are fabulous, Mike.
yeah, it was quite the event. Um, so, Jeff, yeah, if you don't have a checklist, did we not say we were going to circulate one? Did somebody have one to circulate?
Well, we did talk about the idea of you and I were going to get together and formulate a checklist. I started working on one myself, but that's as far as we got. But I
Okay,
have
well,
something else
that's
I'd like to bring up as well.
cool. All right. So let's confer on that checklist because I really think we have to have something to get somebody started with that sets in motion a path for duplication. And that's
Um,
the key to growing a downline. Yeah.
Mike, I was going to say, I think it's in a better way or somewhere in the Royal Alliance, there is a step by step what people have done in their first 3 days and then the next week. And it's there somewhere.
You think it's in the Royal Alliance YouTube channel or not
Yes,
YouTube, but
yes. No, not the YouTube channel, but the
the
just
the
the
I'll have a
website.
look. I'll have a look on the
There is
website and see
something
if
there, and it's very detailed.
okay, well, the sooner we get something, the better, and agree to it because that's how duplication happens when we're all on the same page. So we need the same sheet music if we're going to play the same song, right? Not everybody has to play the
Yeah,
same
definitely.
part, but we definitely have to have the same sheet music if we're going to play the same song.
Any
Cool.
chance it's the same that booklet that was done a few years back with Bernadette McBurney?
That's this one here. This would have to be updated. I do have the Word document for this if I wanted to update it.
Yeah, I wondered if it
Um,
was that.
and it's in this does have the basic requisite. I register with NECAN, I commit to my health and my family's health and start my wellness home, and then there's the hydration, core nutrition, energy, so you can select from here and check off these things. um, how much income do we want to generate? Invest time to build my income, hours per week. I mean, do I do my names list? There is a checklist here, no question about it. And I like the way this is set up. The first page is activate. So this is like just getting ready to get to work. The second stage is prepare for the launch, which is discussing your names list with your top 30 with your sponsor, developing your story, uh, tools, things like that. So it does have the pieces of it. Dave, I'll send this document your way, this Word document, and we can start looking at that.
Okay. So two things I wanted to get going really quickly. I got a call from a distributor that's very highly ranked, been in the business for a couple of decades, and was panicked because she didn't get paid what she thought she was going to get paid because when she looked at the back office, it said one thing and it really was not, she didn't understand what it said. And this uh, really fits in with what we've been talking about why you need to understand what your program is, what your plan is, how it works, and all the ins and outs. And she went to the point of getting all kinds of people involved, writing letters, complaining, talking to the president, the CEO, saying there was problems, there was something wrong, when in fact it wasn't anything to do with the program, the company, the CEO. It was the fact that she didn't understand what the program was. And again, this is something that businesses have a really hard time with when people don't understand the rules and the regulations and how it works. They cause all the challenges and difficulties because they don't know what to look for or how to communicate or which way to go, et cetera, et cetera. When she explained the situation to me, it was handled in 2 seconds simply because I said, well, did you look at this? And this is what it says. Now, sometimes, and this is where it happens, when you go on your back office, and there's a little window that tells you that you're qualified, and it will tell you if you're 75% qualified, 50% qualified. But then there's a little bit of fine print underneath. Check out, click here to see at what rank you're qualifying at. Because you can get qualified, let's say you as a Royal Diamond, I can start out being qualified first as a silver. And it can show me that I'm not qualified. I'm only 50% there because I haven't done the personal volume or some silly little thing like that. So if it said I was qualified, it's not that I was qualified as a Royal Diamond. It's just qualified for the volume that I'm at that day in the month. And the program's very sophisticated. So if you know that, then it's easy to understand. If you didn't know that, then you might assume, oh, I'm qualified. And this happened back in the day. I remember a guy by the name of Jack Black. He's the guy that sponsored 1,500 directs in 1 month, and or was it 500? I think it was 500, and or 500 executives in 1 month. And 1 month he didn't do his qualifying volume. He missed it, and he missed out on a check for 10 grand simply because he didn't understand what was going on. So it's very, very important. Now, that's it on that topic. We don't need to go anymore. Just a point of why this is so important to you and why you need to pay attention to this and why you need to learn it so that you don't end up in a bit of a pickle by doing something that doesn't turn out the way you think it's supposed to turn out because you misapplied or you misunderstood or you didn't understand or you didn't get the full meaning of it. Okay.
Any questions? Okay. Let's
Second point. This
yes.
one more point here, Michael. When we were talking last week about creating a recipe and a sequence of events, one thing popped out in my head right away as if I was in your position, I'm the new distributor in the business, and I'm setting out to get my business going, and I'm talking to other people. The one thing that I recognized, it took a while, didn't happen instantaneously, but it happened over a period of time, but it was based on information coming from other industries, was a thing called qualified. And in the investment arena, I'd had to deal with accredited investors. That means they were qualified to be an investor. In the Yellow Page business that I was in, they had to be qualified as the person that was able to write the check and give the okay to place the ads in the Yellow Page book. If I was, again, it all boils down to that. So the first thing that I wanted to know with whoever I was talking with were they serious about handling a problem, or did they have a problem that they were serious about trying to solve and get resolved? That was the first thing. Because I found that if the person was not interested in solving their own problem, if they were not serious about that, then everything you talked about was a complete waste of time. It just didn't go anywhere. But if they were, what I found was that if those people were serious, that they had a problem, a real situation in life that they were trying to deal with, and you came and that was something that, because of what you were doing or how you communicated, if I looked at my story, the way I set it up, I had a huge problem. I found something to resolve it, and that piqued their interest. It only piqued their interest if they had a problem they were trying to solve. So that was a key point for number one. Anyway, we'll go from there as we move forward.
Okay, questions. Let's really open this up to an opportunity to ask questions that are very specific or pertinent to where you're at.
How about challenges? What are the challenges that you guys are running into? Is that more
I,
relevant?
hi, I didn't put my hand up, but anyway, um, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it's these whether people are serious or not is not necessarily a 0-1 problem or issue. It could be timing that they are serious, but there are things in the way. People are traveling, going on vacation, and um, I know for myself, I just have to be patient, but I just know that it takes time before people reach that trigger point where, yeah, I'm going to do something. But the way around it is have other people in the pipeline whose trigger is in a different timing.
Well, that's a
Okay.
very valid point, Paul. It's just you never know who's going to say yes. But if you have a lot of people in your pipeline that you're talking with and you keep the same things going that you're doing, you're going to run into the person that really wants to act and go now.
I would also add, what if there was a date with destiny? Like, if you have a specific goal that you're after, that you're aiming at, and you're assembling the people, the team. Again, my example is when I went for Royal Diamond, we had a plan. I set a goal. We had a plan, more or less, and then I set about finding the people who would fill in the blanks. And because those goals were tied to an event, there was also an invitation to those events for the people who were in the process. There were the local events and the regional events, or in this case, it was national events. So everything sort of flowed from the fact that there was a goal, a date with destiny to achieve an outcome. And that creates a sense of urgency. It also helps heighten your sense of who's the person I should be working with. And it also, adds to what you might put on or put out as information as to what the decision is that you're looking for them to make. In other words, if they want what they say they want, they don't know how to get it in the context of Nikken. You do. And so there has to be a date with destiny. There has to be a plan of action to go after it. And there's a starting point and there's a finishing point or an ending point, and these are the milestones in between. So if that's not put on the table, they can't really say yes or no to it. It's like, yes, I want to do Nikken. That's not a goal. That's an action. So part of the marriage, if you will, the contract, is establishing an outcome and a plan of action to get that outcome, and then making the commitment to the plan, which includes what I call drop dead dates, dates that are dates with destiny, things that have to get done by when. So an example is, let's say the goal is gold by the end of the next month. Okay, so if gold is gold by the end of next month, then what would have to happen by the end of this month? And then what would have to happen by the end of this week in order for the end of this month to pan out, in order for the beginning of next month to be ready for that run for gold? You see what I'm saying? You start working backwards and start creating the understanding of what is it that would have to happen in order for that to be successful. Well, I would have to have X number of people on my front line in the starting blocks. Well, what does it mean to be in the starting blocks? Well, they would have committed time, money, and contacts. So they would have had to have made a decision to not just get involved, but to get involved with this launch, with this campaign. And that's creating urgency. That's creating a powerful way of attracting people to the experience. It's not an open-ended thing. An open-ended thing is come into Nikken whenever you feel like it. There's something here for everybody. And when you get excited enough to maybe make a decision to do something more important, we'll get on with that. That's a very slow, perhaps organic, and not that many people stay in the filter long enough to get to that point. Bela is a fine example of somebody who came and became organically connected to Nikken and then went to the next level. That's the organic approach. But if you're really if you set a goal for this year to attract a certain tribe of people who are going to be part of the achievement of that goal, then their goals have to line up with your goals, which means you have to have some kind of drop dead dates, some things that have to happen by this day in order for me to be on course. And then what do I need to do if I haven't met that? This is the big one. What do I need to do if I haven't met that condition? Do I have to double up? Do I have to double time? Like, there's left, right, then there's left, right, left, right, left, right. Like, what is it that I need to do in order to make up for what I didn't achieve in the first window that I gave myself that had its drop dead date? So this idea of creating a plan, working backwards to create a plan, having those dates with destiny, and then finding the people who you can marry with that plan. In fact, you can even show them the plan and say, I'd like you to be this person because this is where this person ends up at the end of this quarter or at the end of this year. Do you want to be that person? Oh, yeah, I definitely want to be that person. Okay, well, in order for you to be that person, as opposed to just anybody in Nikken, these are the things that you need to do right here, right now. This is the tee up, the setup. So it's that. And you might be thinking, I can't be that forceful with people. It's not, it's an invitation for people to jump through to another level, to identify themselves as somebody who wants to go for something more important, more interesting. But if you don't have that offer on the table, how are you going to attract the person to fill those shoes? So part of your engineering your business is to actually engineer it, like put it on paper and say, what do I need to have in place by this date in order for, and how I'm working back to this thing. It's like, okay, if I've got to have these three people in place by whatever that date is, phase one has to be finished by date, blah, blah, blah. Well, what if I only have two? I'm still missing the third. Well, that third is going to have to come in phase two, but we're going to have to do double time. We're going to have to do phase two and phase one simultaneously. We're going to have to do both and get both done at the same time, kind of idea. The idea is I have to have this done by a certain date in order for this to get started. Then I have to have this done by a certain date in order for this to get finished. What are those dates? And if you don't actually draw it out and visualize it, how are you going to attract it? How are you going to sell it? And who are you going to sell it to? Any thoughts about this, guys? Are your eyes glossing over, or is this getting worrisome? What does it make you feel or think when you see that?
Just a slightly different spin to the same tune, Michael, just to add on to it while people are thinking about this. And in other words, here you are, you're building a business, you know what it looks like, you know the number of people that you need in place. And so, theoretically, or not even theoretically, reality says you got to go out there and talk to as many people as you possibly can within a given period of time until those boxes get filled. Because if they don't get filled, nothing happens. So it's like playing a game of football or playing a game of baseball or playing soccer or dodgeball, anything where it's you put a team in place. Well, you're the boss of your business. It's your job to put the team in place. And what does the team need to work? They need to see the plan. They need to know what they're going for. They need to know what they got to do, all of those kind of things. And the best way to do that is for you to have your plan dialed in 100 million%. And so, what I saw in the beginning for me, coming from a traditional business, being an entrepreneur, recruiting people to work in I had a company, I had almost 280 employees. So I knew what it was like to have employees and put them in positions, be responsible, do things. So then when I looked at this, it said, well, you need 3 people. Oh, okay. Now, but who those 3 people were was very important. What I saw over time was the serious people were those that really saw it, really had a game plan in mind, really wanted to accomplish something for themselves. And what I showed them was a solution that they got their wits around with and ran with. And that what became very crucial. If they didn't get their wits around and didn't see how it worked, then they wouldn't put their effort into going and talking to a gazillion people, because that's the opportunity here, guys. Is the faster you go talk to the people, the faster you build your team, the faster it grows. And that's all we've been trying to tell you since day one in these Monday night classes of building your business. So you wrap all of these 28 lessons that we put together in one ball of wax, and there's your master class on building any business,
Sure.
not just a network marketing business. And I just to prove the point, I went online. They're selling, I'm trying to figure out this AI thing, and so I started to do some research. I signed up for this company. They gave me some information, but all they wanted to do was sell me their program. So my wife is a big time financial guru, and she manages a lot of money, and she works with one of the top companies in the world. And I said, "What's the deal with AI?" I said, "Well, 50% of the Fortune 500 companies are already using AI. The best bet is to follow them. You don't have to get into AI. You just have to invest in them. They're the ones that have invested in AI, and they're the ones that are going to utilize it. And it's service oriented, and they're going to grow like a weed." And it was like, oh, so there's nothing. So all these guys on the internet and all these guys on TikTok and Instagram, they're just trying to pitch you to sell a program that you think is going to help you become rich and famous, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we've got something better. We got something that's real. And so if we come across with a true understanding of how it works and what you got to do, that's what people want. And people are willing to go out there and do things. They're willing to work, and even the young pups are still willing to do that. I'm seeing that today in other areas that I'm working in. And it all boils down to, okay, you'll get out there, get busy, just get busy and talk to as many people as you want. And life changes, people change, circumstances change. The people you talked to 10 years ago could be in a completely different boat today. But here was the message, the recipe. If you don't know the recipe, then you're not going to talk about it. Plain and simple.
All right, let's get to those questions. Paul.
Okay, so my goal is 100,000 December. There are many recipes I can imagine. The one is six to the power six. Everybody's on KVB at least that. And when I do the math, you divide that by 2 so that you get the 50% CV, and it does work out to 100,000 a month. But I can generate other recipes that will also generate 100,000 a month by either increasing the auto ship level, or so that it takes of course, it takes fewer people to do it. So you don't have to maybe go 6 levels. If you increase the investment level for everybody, you go 3 levels or 4. I mean, there used to be something called the income calculator that made it very easy to create different scenarios.
Well, let me ask you a
I
question.
don't know which one to use.
Pick one, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Pick one, but sell that one. Whatever you pick, sell. So let me ask you, if you had three people who were on that same plan, running right now with you, alongside with you, you guys were talking every day, you're meeting every week, you've got prospects coming in, you're sharing this bold and bright plan, while at the same time giving everybody the option to choose however they wish to participate. But you did offer this vision. If you had three people with you running that plan, how much quicker do you think you might get to that?
3 and myself, so that's 4. Well, I think with that, if everybody were,
Three people, I'm saying, who were as committed, as hungry, and working with you alongside with you every single day.
they were as committed and as hungry and behaving like me, they'd be qualifying as silvers, at least.
Okay.
And then if
I'm
that
talking. I didn't
duplicated,
ask you that question. I asked you the question if they were doing the plan, if they were following this plan, pitching this plan, working to the end of this plan, the realization of this plan. In other
so
words, the
is the
point is
plan their plan at the end of December, what they want?
absolutely the
I
plan
see.
had
Okay.
the plan is their plan. There is only one plan. You can't be selling 10 different plans. What's the plan? Share the plan. Oh, there was a good one I saw. I think it was Dexter Yeager. He said I think I have it in a photo about Dexter Yeager. He's one of the top income earners in all of network marketing, but definitely in
Okay.
Amway. And he said something about, what is it? Let me see if I can find it. But the idea was there isn't anything magical here. It's just he talked to X. Oh, here it is. I got it. There's no secret. I simply showed the plan to 1,200 people. 900 said no, and only 300 signed up. Only out of these, but 900 said no. Out of those 300, only 85 did something at all. Out of the 85, only 35 were serious. That's out of the 1,200 he showed the plan to. And out of the resulting in a team of 1.5 million people. So that's
Captive
his
people.
that's his funnel. So let's say you did 10% of that. I simply showed the plan to 120 people. 30 said no. 8 of those 300 did something, and out of those 8, only 3 were serious, resulting in a team of 150,000 people. there's your income. Get it? So
But
if
if I don't have numbers to my plan, I don't know what I'm showing them.
you're showing
I
them a
can,
plan to create for themselves what it is that they want,
okay.
and you could show them your plan for how you're going to achieve it. And it might be the plan that they adopt. The idea is, what's the plan?
Okay.
Everybody talks in circles, and they talk
Yes.
pie in the sky about nothing. It's all conversational. They don't paint
Yes.
images. I don't know how to draw those things that they're talking about because they're not painting a clear, defined image. Nobody's showing me a blueprint. Nobody's showing me an actual path, and I'm expected to be successful in this. So how do you recruit people into a situation like that when it's just so gobbledygook and there's no real structure or definition? But what if there was structure and definition? Let's start with the compensation plan. Pull out the compensation plan. Right alongside the compensation plan, pull out the income disclosure sheet and say, here's the incomes that are associated with this compensation plan. Which one do
Yes.
you want?
Yes.
Which one do you want? Can you point to one? Is there something on this page that actually you can identify with and are hungry enough to go after? Okay, great. Here's the plan. Let's get to work.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, because it's very concrete.
And that's what makes it more sellable, more believable. But when it's all, oh, we want to change the world and make everybody happy and healthy, and it's all about balance and yeah, it's like, how do you sell that? How do you land that? How does that translate into paying my, bills? It's got to be more defined. And I had a call today with a number of platinums from Latin America, and they want to know, how are we going to 10x Nikan? And so I said, it's not going to be doing what you've been doing. And they're like, what? I said, exactly. It's not going to be doing what you've been doing because what you've been doing is what we got now. If we're going to 10x, something's got to be different. And it's not because you're going to work 10 times harder. Nobody's going to do that. I'm not going to do that. It's going to because we're working 10 times smarter. What does it look like? I said, so let's work with the end in mind. If we're going to 10x our business, your business, what would that look like? What would the end product be? Would you have a bunch of new diamonds on your team? Yeah. Are you out there looking for diamonds or are you out there looking for people to buy a waterfall? What are you doing right now? What have you been doing for the last 5 years? It's like we're in the same business, but you're selling French fries and I'm selling real estate. Which business do you want to be in? We're still in McDonald's, but you can either be the person flipping the hamburgers or you can be the person who has 1,000 of these McDonald's restaurants all over the country. Which one do you want to be? We're still in McDonald's. We have to be very clearly defining what it is that we want to create that mirrors what it is that we're after. I said, nobody here wants to be a diamond. Nobody, not even me. I want what a diamond lifestyle brings. That's what I want. And it just so happens that if I build a diamond business or a royal diamond business, I can have that lifestyle. So what I want is the lifestyle. What I need to do is build that business. Now give me the plan. How do I do that? Is this not making sense to you?
Perfect. Yes.
Now, along the way, are we going to sell some waterfalls? Yeah, you sure are. Because you're going to disclose Nikan to people. You're going to share with them these fine products. And they're going to say, ooh, I like that. Ooh, where can I get one of those? But you're not going to sell it to them. You're going to just expose Nikan as a business vehicle, as an opportunity to solve their bigger problem. And they're going to like the products and buy the products because they want to solve the big problem. And solving the big problem means getting started in the business. And getting started in the business means, well, I got to do this and I got to do this. I got time, money, contacts. Remember that? Good, better, best. I have to do that to do the business. And I want to do the business to have what I want. So that's the working backwards. That's working from the top down. That's working from the end in mind, having a vision and attracting people to that a vision. And right now, what's on my brain? 500 million by 2030. 500 million is a quantifiable number. It's measurable. We will know year by year whether we're on track. It's not, I want to save the world and make everybody a Nikan fan. What does that even mean? We've been at this 35 years and we have 2 million Nikan fans out there. Only. I think it's time to take that number to 200 million.
There you go.
Well, how's that going to happen? It's not going to happen doing what we've been doing. 2 million has happened doing what we've been doing. 200 million is going to do because we've changed something. We've modified something. What did we modify? Our story. We modified what we're sharing with people. We modified how they're interpreting the information, how they can participate in a bigger, bolder way.
We've all heard this story about the penny doubled. What would you like to have? A penny doubled every day, or a salary of $1 million for a month. Well, take your goal, and Paul, for you, do this. You want 100,000 in volume, divide that by two. It's 50,000. Divide that by two. It's 25,000. Divide that by two. It's 12,500. Divide that by two. We're talking 6,250. Divide that by two is 3,125. So now flip it the other way. So you're at 3,150 in volume. How do you go to 6,250? So in other words, the component of the big picture and what Michael's saying is, yes, we've got the goal, but now it's made up of parts and components and pieces. So what you need to do is just work it backwards to a manageable piece and then figure out what needs to be done to take it to the next level. Now, the interesting thing about network marketing exponential growth is when you sponsor one person, you double in size. So if you had two people that each sponsored one, you double in size. So again, I was at going diamond to royal diamond. My income went from 50,000 to 120,000 a month, more than double. When I went from platinum to diamond, the same thing happened. When I worked it back it just kept doubling in size. So what I needed to figure out was, well, how many people are involved in this doubling aspect? And it's everybody building the business. So if you have a person underneath you that's really motivated, build him as deep as you possibly can and watch your organization double.
No, my check is 100,000 in December, not my volume.
Okay, so is that
It's
realistic?
the same idea.
Come
Huh?
on. Is that realistic?
Well, at the beginning of the year,
No, is that
I
realistic,
thought it
Paul?
was.
No. Is that realistic with what you got?
With at the moment, no, but
Okay, well then
anything can
change that goal
happen.
now.
Yeah.
In other words, yes.
Well, I'm
Could
not
you
I'm not
get there?
reducing it.
Yeah. Could you
I,
get there? Yes. No question about it.
But
yeah.
Paul, getting there, like if you're talking about that kind of a business, then you need to be building that kind of a business with the kind of people who can imagine that kind of business. You're not going to take a janitor and pitch him a hundred
No.
thousand dollar check. And so if you're trying to turn a janitor into a multimillionaire, that is an
No.
uphill climb that's, one in a million, one in 100 million. But if you find millionaires right now who understand money, who understand business, and you say, here's the deal, they'll put together 20, 30 people who could buy 20, $30,000 worth of product tonight.
I know, but I
So,
don't know how to find those
yes,
types of people.
well, you haven't found those types of people because you actually haven't been looking for those types of people.
Okay.
And you wouldn't even know what to do with those types of people because we're having this conversation now. You didn't have this idea before that. So what I'm saying is, what is the business that, we kept talking about being dialed in. What is the business that you're looking to build and own? Find three other people who want that too. Don't talk about anything else. If they lead you to the product, when people ask me how much is the product, I always say I don't know because that's the truth. I don't know how much it is. I have to go and look at it online. I didn't get into Nikken to be a product salesperson. I got into Nikken to get a life that I wanted to live. Now, it happens to involve products. It happens to involve fine products. Over the years, I've learned how wonderful these products are and how many ways they work for people. And that's just icing on the cake. I was already in Nikken when I sat down with Ben Dunkelman. He said, I feel 20 years younger. I was already weeks old in Nikken. I didn't need his story to get into Nikken, but his story added to my conviction, my passion. So what was it that I was chasing? It wasn't that story I was chasing. The story I was chasing was $25,000 in my first month. That was the story I was chasing for Mike DiMuccio when I got started. I thought that was a pretty big goal. And the only reason why I even set that goal is because my upline had done it. So I thought, okay, well, if that's the standard, let me set that standard. If I, shoot for the moon, I might hit the treetops. And so it goes. But I
So
wasn't, yeah.
you found Bruce and Bo and Marty, but
Marty didn't come around for 2 years. So
yeah, but Bruce and Bo were like right there.
I went and found them, or I knew them and I went and asked them.
You knew them and you went and asked them.
Right. So I guess the point being is, who did I ask first? A multimillionaire. Why? Why would I go to this person and say, you got to listen to me because I got the opportunity of a lifetime? Who would listen to me? Nobody. But I went to that person because they had what I thought was a key component to building Niken quickly
A
and successfully.
referral.
They were just somebody who I had the EIRL. They were entrepreneurial, influential, had the
Yeah, yeah.
resources in spades. So I went and looked for people who I thought could help me build this thing. I didn't look for people I could help build. Capiche?
Yeah, it's interesting, like how you and Bruce and Bo all came to be together in that previous company. How did that happen?
I don't know. I mean, we were all chasing our passion, our purpose, whatever. I think Bo was Bruce Black's realtor. Bo was actually selling Bruce's home. That's what was happening, where
Yeah,
how
yeah,
they
I know,
knew each other.
I know that, but you all
So we
knew
were
each other from
acquaintance, or we
before, and
yeah,
that
well,
was
it
an
doesn't matter how you know
amazing.
somebody. You know people. Everybody knows people. The
Okay,
point is, what are we selling? What are
yeah,
we sharing? What's the vision? And the people who built Nikan to the heights of today, the aftermath of the residual that we have today, the Al Kiernans of this world, they
yeah,
were not goody two shoes. They were people who were hungry to make a business and a thriving business and live a thriving lifestyle. They like wearing Rolex watches, stuff like that. So, what kind of person does it take to build a business quickly, aggressively? It takes somebody who's a little bit more ambitious than the norm. And so, if you want to accelerate your business, look for people who are already equipped. They come, as I
yeah,
can't remember, as Dennis Williams said, they come with batteries included,
yeah.
you know? And we know
And I
those
think
people and we
your
can find
point
those
is
people.
that most of our vision, I think, including mine, is not perhaps really big enough to attract
Yes,
these
it is,
types of
Paul.
people.
$100,000 a month income is a huge vision.
Okay,
That puts you in the top 1% of the top 1%. So that's a
okay,
very, very big vision. Now find some people who share that kind of ambition, or at least to some degree, maybe a third. They can see 20 or 30,000 a month. Because if you round up a handful of those people, your $100,000 a month is in the shoe. It's a consequence. So it all comes down to the scope of your vision is going to determine what you attract. It's never ever been anything else. It's not anything else. It's not like you happen upon success. You attract it, and it's attracted by your vision of success. And it's okay to start small and work your way up. That's fine. But I'm saying if you want to hit numbers like the kind of numbers you're talking about, I don't think anybody else has those kind of figures in their mind. But when you're talking about $100,000 a month income, you better find some people who can actually identify with that, because that's who's going to help you get the job done. And they're not going to do Niken the way we've been doing Niken. They're not going to be selling
right,
Niken, right?
right.
So and it's just Niken is just it's the vehicle, it's the opportunity, it's the purpose, it's the products, etc. But what are you doing with it? What are you creating with it? It's an opportunity for you to create. What are you creating with it? Some people are happy to just create a small retail business. I know people in my downline who are happy to make $5,000 a month, largely from retail. They're very happy with that. Yes, they would like more, but they're not going away because they don't have more. So, am I going to turn to that person and say, "Yeah, but you should make $100,000 a month"? They're just going. They're not. First of all, they're not going to believe it because they can't believe it. They haven't accepted that possibility for themselves. I did. Like when I was young and getting started in my Nikken career, my first ambition was a singer-songwriter. I absolutely saw myself as a millionaire. I told my mother long before I was ever in anything that I would be a millionaire. The vision I had for me was that. So it's only natural that I would find something that related to me that would allow that possibility to unfold because that's the only thing that would capture my imagination, capture my interest, get me to commit anything. So if you're looking to get people to really go hog tie with this, you got to give them something to put their, get their teeth into. You got to give them something that lets them see there's a real big win in it for them. And then those are the ones that will help you create those big wins. Otherwise, it's slow and steady wins the race. And slow and steady is that slow, organic, you know, I encountered somebody at the store yesterday and oh, we've been talking and so forth. Hey, that's not going to move any mountains, but it might float your boat. Nikken is for everybody. And all I'm saying is we've had the examples of slow and steady. We've had the examples of the retail business. We've had abundance of examples of slow progress. What we now need is some examples of fast progress because that's how we 10x the company. We do it by finding some people who want to work faster, not slow. And those are people who have somewhere to go, somewhere to be, some kind of a life to live yesterday, not 5 years from today. They're the ones who are hungry and they'll do what it takes. So, do you know anybody like that? Maybe not right now, but if you start actually thinking about it and looking for it and making that your, maybe that's your affirmation every day, that I attract people who want to go fast and are hungry and are looking for just the right opportunity because I have it. If that's how you're looking at it, you're going to attract those people a lot sooner. You're going to recognize those people. And then when it comes to showing them something, you're going to have to show them something that mimics what you're talking about. I got a plan. Show them your plan. They go, what? This plan is going to get you 100,000 a month? Damn right it is. In fact, would you like to meet some of the people who've actually done this?
I mean, the way I see the system and the numbers, actually, 100,000 a month is not a lot. I mean, it's
It
happened.
is, Paul. It is. I'll tell you why it is a lot. Because you're talking about people. That's the fly in the
Okay.
ointment. People are the fly in the ointment. And what I mean by that is everybody has this cross that they're walking around with, this weight that they're carrying with them that I'm not worthy and all the other psychological mumbo jumbo that we deal with
Okay.
as human beings. That weight slows them down. That weight prevents them from making decisions quickly. That weight prevents them to taking the action that would otherwise lead to bigger results. So, yeah, it's the human condition that's the fly in the ointment. That's why we have this thing called the rule of thirds. Why would somebody join and do nothing? This guy said 900 people said no, 300 joined. If 300, only what, 58 or 38 said did something, did actually something? Why would you join and do nothing when you could have been the person who said no? That's the psychology of life is a mystery. The psychology of people is a mystery. Why would anybody sign up in Nikken and buy no products? How does that make any sense? Explain that to me.
Yeah.
Do you know how
Yeah.
many what that happens every month in Nikken? Person says I joined Nikken. Oh, let's put out a red carpet for you because you joined Nikken. Great, you're now part of the cult. Congratulations. So
Yeah.
what does that even mean? I joined Nikken.
That's what makes this so interesting.
It is.
It's always there's never it's always interesting because of that. It's people and
So we are a business, and this is the conversation again I had earlier today with the Platinums. I said, Nikken has, in so many ways, become a company about products, and we need to go back to who we are, which is a company about people. People. We know we have products and good products, and that's going to come out in the wash no matter what. Look at us. I mean, we look healthier and younger than most people our age everywhere we go. And it's great to get these compliments, but you should turn that compliment into, wouldn't you like to have this too? Because you can. It's not some people, genes. No, 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 no. It's decisions. We make wise choices every day in NECAN to be healthy, to stay healthy, to be vibrant, and to be prosperous. So I don't know if how this rubs you, but it like honestly, I think it's I'm not trying to put a square peg into a round hole. What I'm saying is there's opportunity here for people who want to run in the big leagues, who want to play in the big leagues. And you're not going to find them by showing up in the little leagues. You're not going to find them by having a plan for the little leagues. You're going to find them and they're going to show up when you start talking like somebody who wants to play in the big leagues. And the good thing is you have access to people who know how to talk with that, like that. You could say, I've got the person I want to introduce you to. Dave and I are always available to make that happen. When you call me on product type calls, I'm bored silly. I don't want to talk about product. That's not who I am. I'm a multimillionaire in NECAN for a reason. I want to talk about the opportunity to create a multi-million-dollar business. Give me that chance. Put somebody in front of me that wants to hear that story. That's the story I love to tell. And there's a lot of people out there right now who want to hear it. That's how you build an organization. Otherwise, what you're building is a customer base. That's not an organization. That's a customer base. An organization is duplicating. An organization is building a business. So it's a different energy. It's a different vocabulary. Make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Who wants to put me on the phone with somebody who wants to build a million dollar business? Who would like to do that? Okay. So
I
I'm available. You all have my number. I would be more than happy to take that call and share with them why I think this is a good time. You've heard my presentation, right? You guys have heard me pitch NECAN in my own way. You've heard my story. You've heard my presentation. You've heard the goal is by 2030. You've heard why I think that's a reasonable goal given where we are in the marketplace with 1.25% market penetration, with everybody looking for opportunity, with us having exclusive technology. Like you've heard me tell the story. You know I believe the story. Give me a chance to tell that story. I'll be leaning into the opportunity. I won't be leaning into the products. So find me some people who want to know how they can add something to their life that can get them out of where they are, if out is what they want. I wanted out of the rat race. I could not conceive of doing what I was doing much longer. I was working as an electrician. I wasn't even trained as an electrician. I was a graduate of aerospace engineering. What was I doing as an electrician? That's another story. So I did not want that life for me. I didn't want to end up just going from one job to the next looking for a better mousetrap because there aren't any. A job is a job. That to me was trading my life force to build somebody else's retirement, not mine. I wanted my own way. It's interesting. I had this conversation with my kids the other day because none of my kids have a normal life. Not my kids, not my sister's kids. We chuckle about it. It's like these kids with a job, forget about it. Nobody could keep these kids at a job. They're just too creative. They're just, that's just how they are. How do you suppose they got that way?
Free-spirited.
How did they get that way?
well,
They
they learned
watched
it.
you. They watched
Yeah.
you do what you're doing.
Yeah, they observed it and they saw the contrast between how I live and how others live, and they said, "Yeah, I want what he's got." It's like that when Harry met Sally. I want what he's having. Free, independent, creative, um, Those are powerful things for people who have more to offer for themselves and their family and so forth. And by the way, that's another thing. At what age is somebody really ambitious? Because
I
if you
hear
look,
mostly 40 or something, but
yeah,
I was before 40,
I would
but
say, yeah, I would say the combination of ambitious and motivated would be 40. Because by that time they've lived through a lot of stuff and they know that life is not a cakewalk and they know that nothing, the money's not going to fall from the sky and the world is not their oyster. They're going to have to fight for every piece of it. So yeah, by that age there's a little bit of maturity and that they understand that an opportunity like this could be really special, not just a dime a dozen. If you're in your 20s, kind of hard to keep their attention for more than 3 seconds. I mean, they're the
By
Instagram
by
generation.
40, most people have young families, and that's where their needs, hit the pavement and they realize their resources have to increase.
So if you're looking to build fast, find those people. You're not going to find them in people our age. They're not hungry. They're happy. They don't mind doing something on the side, to give them a little bit of spice in life, whatever. But they're not hungry. They're not going to go build a mountain. They don't have a mountain to climb.
Well, their pain point at that point is they have a mortgage, they have young children who they need to provide for. Education is already going crazy in terms of cost. So they have to plan for all of that, and literally that's what hits them. So that is the ideal age to go and say, "Here's another option."
Yeah.
And if they haven't planned for retirement, if they haven't put anything towards
Yeah.
the retirement or security as a senior, they're up a creek without a paddle. They
Most
have to
people,
have a purpose.
Yeah, most people in their 40s are too busy trying to keep up with the Joneses to worry about
Exactly.
retirement. They don't have a retirement plan.
No.
So, so again, so what is this telling us? It's telling us the people are out there. You're just looking in the wrong places, and you're not offering them what they need to hear in order to be attractive and get them on board with something that could be a freight train to freedom.
Some of them don't know what they're looking for either.
No,
Yet.
but I think we need to, Mike, I think we need to do an exercise where we go through the qualification process properly. That who do we want to target? And when we target them, are we selling the product or are we selling the idea of the financial independence? And it would be really great. Like, I'm relatively new. I have never heard your story as put out as a presentation. I'd love to hear it. See what you tell people.
Okay. By the way, people, purpose, profit.
Exactly. Right?
That's it. Somewhere in there, there's a product.
Yeah. But the product comes, I'm learning that now. The product comes at the end, not at the beginning. For me,
If the
for me,
goal
it was the
is,
beginning because people visibly saw the difference before and
yeah.
after. So that was my in.
And by the way, Bayla, that's like saying, okay, I'm going to turn on my little retail business so I can experience that. I'm gonna have that little thing on the side. I'm gonna put my shingle up and do that thing, and then I have that experience. But that's not the main objective. That's not the goal. That's not where the ambition comes from. It's just that's a part of living the whole experience of Niken.
Yeah,
And it's like when you first go to a corporation, you don't get the tall job, you get the small job.
exactly. Exactly. But
But you
there's a
still have your
fine
eyes on the
line.
big prize.
There's a fine line because, when I first started talking about the Niken opportunity to people, it was about me, right? How it helped me. But when you turn it around and you find out what are their needs, and then you turn it around that how we can meet their needs, yeah, the product may come into it. Like, I had a few people who were just interested in the product, but then there were people who started, their wheels started
Well,
turning, and they said, well, maybe not here, but I go to Florida for 6 months a year. I can think of a couple of people who I can bring into my organization. Well, go for it,
There
you
you
know.
go. What
And
can I
then
ask
I
you?
hit a
What
clinic.
was your biggest product sale? Like what was the total amount?
$2,400.
Okay, $2,400. What if that was the norm?
Yeah, exactly.
Who was that person? Why did they buy $2,400 in product?
Well, they couldn't believe the difference in seeing me. So they decided that all of a sudden that they would need to buy insoles for their kids and themselves. They would buy the chair pad because she sits at a computer all day, want the water system because she wanted to do the collagen. And I said, if you're going to do the collagen, you may as well do it right. And the golden gut, you may as well do it right and have the right water. So it was a no-brainer. It just went from one to the next.
Right,
And
because there was an end in mind.
correct.
The end in mind is I want to be like you. What do I got to
Correct.
do?
But she's a young woman. So I was really surprised. And she doesn't have any visible health issues that she shared with me.
Doesn't matter. If
Yeah.
she wants to be like you,
Her husband's a
healthy,
doctor, you
vibrant.
know?
So the point is you could make every sale $2,400 if that's what you decided because
Yeah.
you're the owner of your business and you know what's best.
Right. But where I hit her was the vanity issue. So I hit her with the collagen and I hit her with the golden gut. That if your gut's working, I said, your husband's a doctor. You can ask him what role the gut plays in everything, your emotional well-being, your physical well-being. And the sleep system haven't worked in yet. She wants to get it, but her husband's anti. So she's working on him. But she bought the chair pad. So she sits on it during the day, and I think she's tried it at night, and she finds a difference. So she was talking to me about getting just the pillow. Then he doesn't have to know. And then I said, well, what do you mean? He doesn't have to know about anything. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, the mattress pad goes under your sheet. Oh, so now her wheels are turning. So I'm waiting to hear.
So the point I was making is that a $2,400 purchase from Niken for somebody who wants what you showcase, right? So what are you showcasing? If if somebody started off with a bracelet, could they build a Niken business? Yes, but it's going to be slow. It's
Mhm.
not going to be until they get on the accelerated path where a bracelet investing in Niken as a business is simply not an option. So when I talk good, better, best, I talk about that because I believe there's a minimum. I don't believe there's a maximum, but I sure as heck believe there's a minimum. And it needs to be something duplicatable. Otherwise, you have a customer, not a business builder. It would be like McDonald's. You come into McDonald's, say, I want a McDonald's franchise. I want all the things that McDonald's has to offer, all the success in the world, but I don't want to pay for that French fry maker. I don't want those seats. I don't want the you know what I'm saying? You don't have that choice. You buy a McDonald's franchise, you buy the franchise, and they give it to you as it is. And so in Niken, we tend to back off of that, even though everybody wants everything Niken has to offer, the benefits of this as an opportunity, but they're not willing to pay the price of admission. That's where you've got to sort it out in your own mind. You got to say to that person, look, do you want to know what's the best way to get started? A good way to get started, a better way? Like, you tell me what you want to hear first. And they'll tell you, well, tell me what's the best way to get started. This is the best way to get started. Oh, hmm. And then they'll start thinking, can I afford that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, remember, we don't get into Niken to spend money. We get into Niken to make money. So this is an investment in your business and you're going to have a return on your investment. So always think in those terms. But if you start backing down because you think that like they're a customer and that, oh, that's a lot for a customer to spend, man, when's the last time you invested in a business? Businesses don't cost a few $1,000s. They cost many tens of thousands and more. I spent over $1.1 million on one business, US. So don't tell me that $2,000 or $3,000 in a business, which by the way, and it was my Niken income that was able to afford that. So don't tell me spending a couple $1,000s to get started in a business that will transform your health and your life and potentially generate those kind of revenues is too much to ask. It's not. It's the fact that we're not asking is the problem. You need to be more bold about that because you're not giving them the best for themselves. I owe it to them for them to know the truth. I'm going to tell you what's the best way. If you don't want to do that, that's your business. But my obligation to you as your sponsor is to give you the best start possible. That's what I have. That's what I owe you. But if you want to start cutting corners, if that's a condition of your mind, then guess what? Success, you're going to have to expect cutting corners there because that's what you're going to duplicate. So it's just a matter of being very clear about what's the path you're on, what is it that you're offering people, and be steadfast about it because they're going to trust you more. They're going to
You have
trust
to
you.
build that trust. That's key.
They're going to trust you more. If you make it sound like, oh, don't worry, you can have it all. Oh, you
Yeah,
don't
no.
have, no, you don't have to buy anything right now. You can buy it later. Don't worry. You just have to sign up. They're just going to say, what is this? But if I said to you, okay, well, let's see where we're going here. What do you want out of this? And you say 10,000 a month. I say, okay, great. Are you ready to invest that to get started? Oh, no, no, no. Okay, what are you prepared to do? $10,000 a month is a real income. What are you prepared to do to get started? Because it's going to take something to get this. Even a pump needs a primer. You got to put water in the pump to prime the pump to get the pump to, even a pump needs that to pump water out of the ground. So our business needs a primer. Open up a restaurant. How much money do you think they invest in a restaurant before they have their first customer eat their first meal?
Well over $1 million. Well over. Now with real estate prices, even more.
So it's not unreasonable for us to understand that there is an investment involved and it should be reasonable for them to expect to do the same. All these things that we're talking about tonight is really about setting a standard that will accelerate your business and your expectations.
I know I would benefit to hear you do a rundown of the qualification and then the business opportunity.
Well, that's the presentation I would normally do if I had the full slate of time to do it on a Thursday, but I can
Yeah.
set aside a time to do what I call the business present. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, we did it in the Canadian team, didn't we recently? Team Canada, did I not do that? Barbara? I did a presentation
I
for Team
think you did it
Canada.
with Maggie's expansion team.
Oh, that's what I did. Right. I did it with Maggie's expansion team. So there's
Yes,
actually a
it's
video
there.
of me doing that very presentation, really sort of calling the shots. If you want, I'm sure we can get that link and share that
that
link
would
with
be
you and you can
great.
watch that.
I would love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because I
And-
do use the PowerPoint.
There's another Julie Tara, the 5 Pillars of Health. She interviews Mike for an hour, and then Mike interviews Bo on the hanging out with Mike DiMuccio. There's a lot there that's just
Well,
readily
let's start
available.
with let's start with that first one because that's the
But
most
something
recent.
current, more
Yeah,
current, right?
that's the most recent, and that's me
Yes.
walking through the presentation that really sort of you see you see it unfold because it's a
Yeah.
whole thought process, beginning with the end in mind.
That's what I think that would be very beneficial.
So
done
Because then
with
we have something to practice with. Because, John Assaraf says something really cool. He says, practice in private, get paid in public.
yeah, that's a
And
good
if you
one.
think about that, that's a good one. Right?
Good. All right, guys, we're well over the 1 hour time slot.
Yeah.
So if somebody has that video that you want to share with Bela or even share it on the other chats, feel free to do it because, like I said, it's very succinct.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks
Thanks,
for this. Hey, if you have some questions that you want to bring to these calls or something specific to your business and because it's in the actual application that you can really see things unfold. Like if I had to
Mhm.
address a particular business question
Issue.
or whatever, yeah, then everybody learns from that.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, even if whatever, just whatever it is. So feel free to bring that along. I know Dave and I tend to fill the spot with a lot of talking, and we like to talk, but we also need to do a better job at listening. So help me out with that.
Mhm.
I just say one thing, Mike. Like $3,000-4,000. what people are actually thinking, maybe, that how can that really be a real business when it's only 3, 4 thousand and it's not 100,000?
Let me show you. You got a
Yeah.
few minutes? Can I show you?
Bye.
And that's how.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but that's people. I know people think that.
Yeah, and you could even say that. You might say, I remember one of my guys said, I spent more money on legal fees just checking out a business than what I invested in Nikon to get my business started.
Yeah.
So people, if you underplay this, if you play it down too much to those people, those prospects, yeah, you
It's
might
not
be selling.
credible.
It's not credible.
Yeah. A Timmy's franchise 5 years ago or 6 years ago was $2 million.
Wow.
That's amazing. You
Yeah.
know, people have to leverage their house and everything to own one.
Yep.
So, and they're doing it. It's not like they're not doing it. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome call, Mike.
Thank you.